Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about dinnerware and specifically stoneware. I have a selection of 8 brands I've come across in the last 18 months that I particularly like. I'm Anesu Sagonda and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things, whether you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying better quality from the get-go, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on high quality, under the radar brands, then my content is geared towards you. My first brand, Wonkiware, originates from my home country, South Africa. And it's a brand I first stumbled upon in the Sandton Mall in Johannesburg. And what caught my attention was their patterned design. Their patterned design is simple, but it's incredibly eye-catching. But they also sell stoneware that's also plain colored, so you can very comfortably mix and match the patterned pieces with the plain pieces, either as dinnerware, or you can use a couple of the patterned pieces decoratively with your interiors. The patterned design is incredibly versatile, especially when it comes to the usage. All of the pieces are handmade and hand glazed in South Africa, what the brand referred to as perfectly imperfect works of art. Because they're handmade, you're never going to get 2 pieces that are exactly the same. All of the pieces are produced in a small town that's located along the Garden Route. And the Garden Route is right at the bottom of South Africa in the Western Cape. And it's a 300-kilometer coastal stretch that runs from Mossel Bay to Storms River. And it's made up of beaches, mountains, wetlands. It's absolutely spectacular. It is the most beautiful part of South Africa. So the brand is producing their pieces in an area where they're able to source a lot of inspiration. Their pieces are available widely in South Africa. I noticed a number of sites, in the Sandton Mall. In all of the malls, you'll find boutiques that retail Wonkiware. And I also found some Wonkiware pieces recently in Paris in a mid-tier homeware store located in the 11th arrondissement called Wellness. And I remember seeing the Wonkiware pieces and thinking, oh, that has to be Wonkiware. And I like the fact that when I did check, I turned over one of the plates. It was Wonkiware. The design stood out. It sold itself. Their dinner plates are typically sold in sets of 4, and prices start from £100 and above, depending on just how detailed the design is. My second brand is Céladon. It's a Parisian-based brand. They have 2 stores in Paris, one in the 11th arrondissement, which I've been to, and the second in the 17th arrondissement. And Céladon is a COVID baby. It was started recently in 2020, right in the middle of the lockdown. All of their pieces are handmade and hand glazed in Portugal. And what I really like about the brand, 2 things. Firstly, it's a fantastic, everyday, affordable brand. But most of all, I like the fact that you can mix and match all of the pieces. All of the pieces are exhibited together in store. So you pretty much pick up and mix and match regardless of the color, the size, the style, whatever the product is, everything works well together. And they have a really good selection of colors, and everything is oven, dishwasher, and microwave safe. Dinner plates are typically priced between £20 to £30 depending on the design per plate. The next 2 brands are focused on hand-thrown and hand-glazed ceramics. Hand-thrown is essentially where a potter's wheel has been used, so the shape of the plates is typically flatter. The first brand is a Danish brand called Würtz, and I first came across his ceramics in 2 restaurants in England. The first is a top restaurant in London called the Ledbury, and the second is in the north of England in an area called Cumbria. It's called L'Enclume. His ceramics are also used in 2 top global restaurants, 2 restaurants that consistently feature in the top 50 best restaurants in the world. The first is Noma, but Noma's closing down this year, and the second is another Danish brand called Geranium, and Geranium is a stalwart of the top 50 best restaurants in the world. It consistently features, and the ceramics they use in that restaurant are from Würtz. His work stands out for 2 reasons. Firstly, the weight. His plates, his chargers are an absolutely amazing weight. Especially if you haven't been told that they're heavy, the first time you pick them up, you notice the weight. And the chargers, you typically need 2 hands to pick them up. But what I really like is his work, his pieces are statement pieces. He works with a lot of experimental glazing, and he also collaborates with a number of designers. So there's a fairly diverse selection of designs, but his designs are absolutely outstanding, particularly the experimental glazing. It's absolutely beautiful. It's arresting. You notice it and you think, oh wow. His chargers, they're great either as decorative plates, wall hangings, although they're incredibly heavy, or as chargers, part of a dinner setting. And you're looking at prices of between 600 through to about 1,200 pounds, depending on the level of detail. And then the dinner plates are typically 75 pounds and above, depending, of course, on the detail that's gone into the plates. The second brand is a Scottish brand called Cara Guthrie. And I literally discovered this brand about 4 or 5 weeks ago during a recent staycation in the north of Scotland. The northernmost tip overlooking the North Sea. Stayed in an absolutely wonderful property that's part of an incredible portfolio of properties around Scotland. It's called Lundies House. And Lundies House is in an incredibly remote but beautiful part of Scotland. And because the property is so remote, all of the meals are catered on site because you don't have a lot of restaurants to wander out to. And I remember the first meal we had when we arrived in the evening, walking into the dining room, and my jaw literally dropped. The floral paintings on the walls were arresting. They were done by a legendary French floral painter called Claire Bassler. She's known for floral paintings, floral painted walls and pictures that are incredibly magical, but they're absolutely realistic. And what she has cleverly done, very cleverly thought out and executed, is painted a range of flowers and plants that are all available within the grounds. And then there are points at which they have arrangements with the actual flowers of the plants that have been collected from the grounds, and they fuse in with the floral detail, floral painting on the wall, and that carries through into the cupboard with the plates, the cups, and so forth. And the ceramics they use in the restaurant are Cara Guthrie, so they very much work with the look, the texture, the feel, the colors of the floral detail on the walls, the nature, the flowers, the plants outside, and then the look and feel of the property. But it was a real jaw-dropping moment just seeing the walls and then sitting down for dinner, and then the Cara Guthrie ceramics, absolutely beautiful. Astier de Villatte is a brand that literally has cult status in the United Kingdom, particularly amongst the upper echelons of society. It's available to buy from 2 retailers, Liberty London and a family-owned boutique called Summerall and Bishop that has 2 outlets in London. And certain pieces are known to be consistently waitlisted or to sell out even before they have hit the shop floor. It's a French brand started in 1996 by 2 French designers, Benoit Astier de Villatte and Ivan Pericoli. And it's a multifaceted brand that produces a number of products, but I'm only going to be focused on their ceramics. Their ceramics are literally one of a kind. You won't find any brand producing ceramics like Astier de Villatte in terms of the look, the weight, the feel of the products. They're made from black terracotta clay, and they're hand kneaded, placed in a mold, and then they're left to air dry. And depending on the season, it can take a couple of days through to a couple of weeks, for example. Once dry, they're then finished with a white porcelain glaze. The look is incredibly unique. Their products are literally one of a kind. The brand also like collaborating with a number of designers, collaborated with Serena Caron in the past, and they've created mugs with the ornate ring handles. And they have a collaboration with John Derrian that started in 2011 and it's still ongoing. And John Derrian is known for his decoupage, which is the art of cutting and pasting. And his pieces have been with the brand, and they're very much now a part of the core offering of Astier de Villatte. Priced at the top end of the market, their dinner plates range in price from between £100 through to about £200, typically for the most expensive, but that very much depends on the range and the level of detail that's gone into the plate. If that's out of your price point, there is a Portuguese brand called Costa Nova that are producing a range called Pearl that's very similar to the aesthetic of Astier de Villatte, the core Astier de Villatte plates, but it's considerably heavier. And it's a brand, Costa Nova, that's focused on sustainability, the materials that they use, coupled with the fact that it's clay and it's fired at a much lower temperature, which is a lot friendlier to the energy in terms of reduced consumption. That's priced at about £15 per plate. Boleslove is a ceramics store that's located in the 3rd arrondissement in Paris, and it's owned by a Polish lady called Ermina. And Ermina is an absolutely outstanding ambassador, not only for her brand, Boleslove, but also Poland as a country. The store is essentially Poland's love letter to the world. She beautifully showcases Poland's incredibly rich ceramics history. Ceramics in Poland date back to the 13th century, but they only really became famous in the 18th century. And the focus is on using clay. The products are produced, they're molded into the particular item, and then they're fired at 1,300 degrees Celsius for 24 hours until they harden. Generally hand painted using either a stamp, or for the more exclusive designs, they use a brush. Once the design has been completed, the items are fired a second time at 1,200 degrees Celsius to seal and to enhance the vibrancy of the color. The plates are beautiful, they're unique, they're different to anything that's in the market. And what really stood out when I went into the store are 2 items: puzzle teacup and teapot. I'm a huge tea drinker, always have tea first thing in the morning, and I thought, I'd like to get matching his and hers teacup and teapot. But there wasn't anything that immediately stood out, but I liked the concept. And I'm in Paris often, so I'll be sure to pop in one of the times I'm near the store. And I also liked the various sizes of the little bowls. They're fantastic as gifts, they're great for nibbles, for dips. They also make for great jewelry containers next to the bed, or you can pop pills in there, for example. They are absolutely wonderful. Their dinner plates, small size, you're looking at a price of 45 euros. The bigger dinner plates, you're looking at a price of 55 to 60 euros, depending, of course, on how elaborate the design is. But the brand is Ermina. She sells it wonderfully. Her passion, her thoughtfulness, how considerate, how aware she is of her customers, the needs, anticipating situations, shipping, advising accordingly, and knowing the industry is absolutely fantastic. Her energy is absolutely infectious, and the products are beautiful. All made in Poland with a group that she has been working with that's been in business for over 80 years. So it's a brand that wonderfully showcases Poland's ceramics. If you go into the store, worst case scenario, you leave in a really good mood. You leave on a high. Interacting with Ermina is absolutely pleasant. Best case, you either leave having shipped something to your home country, or arranging to come back at a later date to order something else. But Boleslove is a wonderful brand that just makes my heart smile every time I think of the time I spent in the boutique. I've literally saved the best for last. And when I say the best, I mean in terms of the craft, the level of work that goes into producing the ceramics. It's an Italian brand called Stone 985, and they're based in Florence, in the center of Florence. And it's called Stone 985 degrees because the products are made from red clay. Once the products have been produced, they're fired at 1,040 degrees Celsius to harden the products. And then once they are hard, the design is then meticulously hand painted onto the plate. Once the design is complete, the plates are fired for a second time at 985 degrees Celsius, hence the name, Stone 985 degrees. And if there's any gold color gold detail that's added to the plate is then fired for a third time to seal in the gold detail. I went in to see the brand twice. The second time was just literally to marvel and just pore over the work. The artisans in the store are also the owners of the brand. There's just a very slight language barrier, but they're incredibly gracious, and there are other workers who can help with translating. But they're on hand to field all of the questions. You can see them working. You see the level of work, the level of craft that goes into producing their products. Their plates typically priced from about 400 euros and above, depending of course on the size, but I'm talking about the bigger plates, which I think are fantastic. They're versatile because they can be used as chargers, dinner plates, or as decorative plates, but they're incredibly ornate. They are beautiful, and depending on how you dress them, you can use them as a dinner setting, as I mentioned, or as a decorative plate. They're absolutely stunning. And it was an absolute joy to just spend time in the workshop and just watching them meticulously paint the plates. They're absolutely beautiful. And I remember on both occasions I was there, tourists coming in, locals coming in, buying plates, most of the tourists, and then they would organize shipping, and they'd be shipped to their home country because they didn't want to run the risk of possibly breaking some of the pieces in their luggage. And that's something they're able to do. They ship globally. And what they recommend, I will include in the description box down below, website address and also a WhatsApp number, which is what they highly recommend. Reach out to them on WhatsApp, take a look at their website, take a look at the Instagram page. If you see anything that catches your eye, send through a visual, and they can let you know how quickly they can turn the items around depending on the quantities and so forth, and the price, and you can fine-tune the details and payments and so forth, and then they can organize the products you'd like and then get them shipped out to you once they've been completed. But everything is meticulously done by hand to the highest standard, using the finest quality. The plates are beautiful. They don't chip easily. They use clay, so it's a different material, a different feel, a different look to porcelain. Do let me know in the comments down below if you know any of these brands, if you own anything from the brands, or if anything caught your eye. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.